When every idea feels like a bad idea. The hardest part isn't finding ideas, it's learning to trust them. Welcome to the Storymakers Podcast. I'm Talina Adamo. Take a seat with me here on the writer's bench. Sometimes all we need is a quiet place to slow down, think, and remember why we started creating in the first place. Today's conversation begins with a simple question. Have you ever noticed that your favorite idea somehow becomes your worst idea the moment you start writing it? It happens to almost everyone. An idea arrives while you're driving, or taking a shower, or walking through a store. It feels exciting, fresh, you can't wait to start. Then you finally sit down to write, and suddenly it feels ordinary. You begin wondering if someone else has already done it better, or if it was never that interesting to begin with. Here's what I've learned. Ideas don't lose their magic. They simply leave our imagination and enter reality. Inside our minds, stories don't have plot holes. Characters don't refuse to cooperate. Scenes don't need rewriting. Everything feels perfect because it hasn't been tested yet. But once we begin writing, reality shows up. And that's actually a good thing, because stories aren't discovered by thinking about them. They're discovered by writing them. Every draft teaches us something the outline couldn't. Every scene reveals something we didn't know before. Some of my favorite moments as a writer weren't ideas I planned. They appeared while I was writing something completely different. They surprised me. And that's one of the greatest gifts creativity gives us. Sometimes we forget that our first impression of an idea isn't the same as its final potential. Think about your favorite books or films. What you remember isn't the original idea. It's the finished story. No one falls in love with an outline. They fall in love with the characters who felt real, the moments that made them laugh, the scenes that made them cry, the ending they couldn't stop thinking about. None of those things existed when the writer first had the idea. They were discovered one page at a time. That's why judging a story too early can be so misleading. You're comparing an unfinished draft to a finished vision that only exists in your imagination. Of course, it won't measure up. It isn't supposed to. Every story needs room to become something more than its beginning. Sometimes the best thing you can do isn't come up with a better idea. It's give your current one another chapter. There's something else I've noticed over the years. The stories we remember creating are rarely the ones that came easily. They're the ones we almost gave up on. The chapter we rewrote 3 times. The character we couldn't quite figure out. The scene that refused to work until one unexpected idea suddenly brought it to life. In those moments, it can feel like the story is fighting against us. But maybe it isn't. Maybe it's inviting us to look a little deeper. Sometimes the story isn't broken. It's simply asking us to spend more time with it. I've learned that writing isn't just about putting words on a page. It's about discovering things we couldn't have known until we started. That's why patience is one of the most underrated skills a writer can develop. Not every answer appears on the first draft. Not every character introduces themselves right away. And not every idea reveals its full potential the moment we think of it. Some stories unfold slowly. They earn our trust the same way we earn theirs, one page at a time. Bench wisdom. Don't stop to fix the sentence. Finish the thought. Momentum is one of the most powerful tools a writer has. When we keep moving, we stay connected to the story. When we stop every few sentences to question ourselves, we slowly disconnect from the very world we're trying to create. Keep moving. You can always come back tomorrow with fresh eyes, but today, give your imagination permission to keep going. If you're waiting for every idea to feel exciting from beginning to end, you'll spend more time chasing new ideas than finishing old ones. Instead, stay with the story. Give it time to become something bigger than the version you first imagined. The excitement usually returns, not because the idea changed, but because you did. You learned more about it. You gave it room to grow. So today, trust your idea a little longer than your doubts. It might be far better than you're giving it credit for. Thanks for taking a seat with me on the writing bench. If you enjoyed today's conversation, I'd love for you to subscribe so you don't miss future episodes about writing, filmmaking, storytelling, and the creative journey. You can also follow the Storymakers on Substack, Spotify, and my Talina Adamo YouTube channel, where I share new articles, podcast episodes, creative insights, and resources for storytellers. I'm also working on an exciting new series called Plot Your Story with Me, so stay tuned. I'd love to have you join me on that journey. And if you'd like to support the work I'm creating, you can buy me a coffee as a simple thank you for free content like this, or become a paid subscriber for occasional behind-the-scenes content, early access, and other member extras as publication grows. Until next time, keep creating and keep telling your story.